Well, lots of developments today, but it's that time of night when we talk about all things US politics with our panel. And I'm joined tonight by John McCarthy, Democratic strategist and former senior political advisor to President Biden, and Leslie Shedd, Republican strategist and former senior advisor for the US House Committee on Foreign Affairs. Thanks to you both for being with us. Leslie, to you first, just on that point that Congresswoman Stansbury made, and others have made it as well, why there seems to be greater accountability for some of what's suggested in these Epstein files and people's links and so on, even without any charges or convictions or any wrongdoing being proven there. But there seems to be greater accountability abroad than there is in the US.
So first of all, Lord Mandelson, there was evidence in these files that he leaked very sensitive government information to Epstein. There's been no such evidence whatsoever of any U.S. officials. And I would imagine that if that does come out and it turns out that there were government officials leaking information, then there would be a similar reaction. But I do think it's a little rich to try to for the UK to try to claim they have some kind of moral superiority here. We have to keep in mind that the royal family knew for more than a decade that Prince Andrew was participating in a lot of questionable activities with Epstein, that there were very serious allegations against him.
He has denied any wrongdoing.
And it took them 10 years to finally take action on that. And their action was also to put him up in a house that is paid for on royal grounds, and the king still takes care of all of his needs. So I think that there is enough problems with this to go around, and I also think people that live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. There's problems everywhere with this, and I think it's great when people have committed a crime that they're being held accountable, which is what you're seeing happen in the UK.
And we should just absolutely stress that there is no crime that people have been charged or convicted of here, of those that we're mentioning. No formal charges or convictions at all. John, do you have a view on that?
I mean, my initial point is, here in the U.S. context, this should be something that Democrats and Republicans should be able to come together on. I mean, the alleged crimes, the convicted crimes in the past are things that are so atrocious that just kind of go against any single person of goodwill. So, I mean, I am very proud that the Democrats have been calling for transparency on behalf of the victims. I mean, you saw Democrats come out earlier today after reading some of the redacted files, calling for even more transparency. And I think that, you know, we have to give those victims who have spoken out a ton of credit. They did so at a great personal cost. And I mean, I think we should be looking towards their example for more and more transparency on this. No political party should want to hide any of these details.
And on that, we heard from Representatives Massey and Ro-Khanna earlier about how there are 6 individuals named in just the files they saw today, that they're questioning why their names are being redacted still. And even that the DOJ received files that were redacted in the first place, that they don't have the full raw material here.
It seems really interesting, that one specific claim especially, that they received redacted files. I'd be curious as to why that happened and why there weren't efforts made to try to get the unredacted versions of it. So, you know, I think that 100% will probably be a part of this investigation going forward. You have to keep in mind, and I am not excusing any child predator, any person that participated in this whatsoever, but you have to keep in mind, too, that when you're dealing with pedophilia rings like this, that oftentimes victims also become perpetrators, right? They groom them, and then he gets young girls after he's abused them to recruit other people. So in some of these instances, it could be that names that were redacted of people who could perhaps be considered co-conspirators may also be victims. It's such a sensitive and really hard topic to talk about.
Do you think are the victims of the survivors being sort of considered enough in this whole process and all the debate that's going on?
I mean, I would like to say yes, but I don't think that often happens in politics. I think that, you know, there are people who really do care about these victims and who are wanting to try to provide them some level of relief, some level of closure. But I don't know that happens with everybody.
What do you think, John?
I'd also say that, you know, Leslie and I are both Capitol Hill people. This should be one of the examples of where Congress kind of gets those backbones back working and remembers that they're a co-equal branch of government who has oversight authority here. So I'm glad to see that there are members in both political parties who are standing up and saying, challenging the administration, challenging the Department of Justice, and saying the American people have a right to know all the information here. So I hope that is a muscle that Democrats and Republicans will continue to keep growing, because it looks like there's going to be more and more need for that in the coming months.
Because Republicans and Democrats, we should remember, all bar one voted for these files to be released, didn't they? And just on that, of course, Ghislaine Maxwell was being deposed, or at least appearing virtually before the House Oversight Committee earlier today. Well, the Republicans on the House Oversight Committee have now posted a video showing the moment that Ghislaine Maxwell, who is serving a jail term for her involvement with Jeffrey Epstein and those sex trafficking rings, she pleads the Fifth Amendment during her deposition. That's the right under the US Constitution not to self-incriminate and to remain silent. Now, the tweet from the Republicans on the committee said she was asked if she was a close friend of Epstein, if she helped him traffic girls, and if she instructed girls to provide sexual favours, amongst other questions. Total silence. That's what the Post says. Let's have a listen now to some of that deposition.
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, did you at any time play any role in Jeffrey Epstein's activities involving the recruitment, grooming, or trafficking of young women or girls?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Let the record reflect that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
So that was Ghislaine Maxwell speaking during her appearance before the House Oversight Committee a little earlier. Now, we were speaking to the Democratic Congressman Suhas Subramanian earlier, and he said he's a member of that committee, and he said he felt that her answers were because there's this possibility of her receiving a pardon from President Trump, and that she's kind of withholding anything she might know until she gets that. Should she be pardoned, Leslie, do you think?
No. And I agree with Chairman Comer. He's also said he doesn't think that she should be pardoned. I mean, first of all, this woman has lied to young, impressionable women for decades, has been lying to federal officials for decades. Why would we believe she would even tell the truth? So I don't think that even if we offered clemency that I would believe the words that are coming out of her mouth. But more importantly, we are talking about a very dangerous serial pedophile, serial, predator of women that would be released back into the streets of the United States of America. I don't think that's safe. I don't think we should do it.
So should the president then say very clearly, this is not on the offer, not an offer, she will never be pardoned? We haven't heard that from him.
I mean, that's up to the president, right? Clemency and pardons are 100% at the discretion of the president. If, he asked me, this would be my advice. I agree with Chairman Comer. I don't think that we should do it. I know there is a desire to try to get information out of her. I, too, would like to get more information from her, but I just don't believe that she'll be a credible witness. And she is such a dangerous person. I don't think we can allow her back on the streets.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I mean, watching that video is almost chilling. I mean, it's just a totally ghoulish person and ghastly behavior. And, I think it's also a commentary, though, on just kind of the state of the administration and the kind of rule of law. The fact that her lawyers even think that this is a tactic just goes to show you that the administration has basically been kind of running itself like a reality show, letting people audition for things like pardons. The fact that a lawyer could even think that that is something that is possible is really a very sad commentary on what this administration has kind of brought about in public life.
But if the president said those words out loud, would that shut down that avenue?
He should have done it hours ago.
Okay, and we just have time to talk very quickly. Actually, we don't. I was going to talk very quickly about immigration policy, but we don't have time to get into that. Leslie, do you think that there will be a resolution here? I mean, it must be absolutely so painful for the victims and survivors. This kind of drip, drip, drip.
I mean, I would like to, again, say yes. It seems like there are, 3.5 million pieces of paper. Mm-hmm. I don't know how one person could go through all of that, in their lifetime. And I honestly don't know what kind of, closure can really come from being the victim of such a horrific crime for so long. I do hope, though, that they feel at the very least supported by the American people, that they do feel that people care about this on both sides of the aisle, that there are a lot of people this isn't politics for. This is about trying to protect women.
And can that protection be offered, John? Super briefly?
The American people are on the side of the victims here. They want full transparency, and I think that the American people will support that through to its rightful end.
Okay. John McCarthy and Leslie Shedd, thanks to you both for coming in.
Thank you.
That is it for the moment. Do stay with us here on BBC.